This is a presentation about becoming a superhero. Now you might be saying, Dan, I don't have the Kanye West glasses. I don't have the lightsaber. I don't even have a SpongeBob t-shirt. How am I going to become a superhero? Let me tell you, magic. That's right. The magic of words can make you a superhero. Through 3,500 to 4,000 years of Western history, people have talked about how powerful words are. They've written them in their scriptures. They've written them in their proverbs. Words are powerful. But how do we manage words? How do we know how to use words as our superpower? Well, there's a discipline. You're not going to like the word. There's a discipline that human beings have worked on for many, many years, 3,500 years. And you've been told that it's a bad word. The word is a Greek word. It's rhetoric. And when you think of rhetoric, you think of empty rhetoric. And it's just rhetoric, and it's the opposite of action. And who's told you that? Well, Plato, of course. Here on your right is Plato. On the left, this is the guy that you really want to be looking at. That's Isocrates. He was one of the first rhetors. Now, if rhetoric's your superpower, you have to accept that life is probabilistic. It's not definite. Rhetoric is not about just talking and blabbing and saying like I'm doing right now. Rhetoric is about negotiating and understanding how the world works. Rhetoric is about using your speech and your words for good. What else is rhetoric? Rhetoric is Greek, right? Now, rhetoric started because the Greek city-states, 3,500 to 4,000 years ago, were trying to figure out ways not to kill each other, right? They wanted to govern their cities, but they didn't, and they wanted to have power, but they didn't want to kill each other. And you know where that got much worse was in Rome. This is Cicero, one of the Roman senators and great rhetor. Rhetoric became very important in a huge empire. The only way that the Roman Empire stayed together and didn't destroy itself and tear itself apart was through the magic of rhetoric. The three legs of rhetoric are pathos, which is an emotional appeal. You took our jobs! Ethos, which is an appeal to reputation. And thank you, some of you got that. Logos, which is a rational appeal. This is a slide about an airplane. I didn't think it was going to work. But rhetoric is also completely amoral. Not immoral, but amoral. It can be used for good or evil. One of the greatest technical documents you'll ever read is a Nazi document about how to improve the gassing vans. Great, perfectly technical document, but perfectly immoral and evil. So remember, rhetoric is amoral, so you have to use your power for good rather than evil. One of the greatest pieces of visual rhetoric is this used by our predecessors, the abolitionists. This symbol was everywhere, all over the world, and it had an emotional appeal and a logical appeal. So how do you use your rhetorical superpower? Well, let me tell you. The first thing is you have to consider your audience. If this were a different audience, for example, the Rotary Club, I probably wouldn't have used a South Park reference or Legos. If your audience is a bunch of old ladies or party girls or an elementary school class from the 1980s, all these require different rhetorical situations. Also, don't get caught up in the method, right? Sometimes you have to go right out and say what you mean. For example, we know there's a hole in the bottom of the space shuttle. What are we going to do about it? Instead of making all these slides and talking about it, say, hey, if we don't do something about this, people are going to die. Also, don't fake it, right? There are all kinds of ways to use your rhetorical superhero-ness for evil. There's all kinds of ways to distract people from what they're saying. There's all kinds of argumentative strategies. That's a good way to win the battle but lose the war. Stay on target. Stay on target. Don't get distracted looking this way and that. Have one thesis and stick with it. Don't argue about the argument. Make your point and stick to it. Use your power for good, not for evil. Okay? It's very important that whenever you learn to communicate well and effectively, that you use that for good. For example, you want to text 90999 to Haiti right now, $20 to earthquake relief. Most important, rhetoric is not empty. Rhetoric is not necessarily evil. Rhetoric can be used for great good. Also, rhetoric is the stopgap that keeps us from killing each other when we're trying to figure out how to run our society. That's me, yesdancan.com, and at Dan Lovejoy, and eventually these slides and a little bit more information about learning rhetoric will be on my website. Thank you.